Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review, an out-of-date Dynamite review. This is going to be a review of the March 3rd edition of Dynamite, and this was the go-home show for Revolution, which is this Sunday, which sadly I won't be reviewing Revolution because I'll be working when the pay-per-view is on. So there will be no review of Revolution on Sunday, but I'm hoping, of course, it will be a good show as always. But it's Friday, so you guys will be getting two videos from me today. This video, which of course is the Dynamite review, and later on tonight, of course, the SmackDown review. So enjoy the double upload today. But Dynamite, for this week, I watched the second hour on Wednesday, and I still DVR'd it because I missed the first hour because I was at work. So I went back and watched the first hour early this morning. But Dynamite as a whole for this week, I thought it was a very good show. I thought them hyping up a little bit of Revolution was pretty cool. And AEW knows how to put on a go-home show. But we had, for this week's Dynamite, of course, we had the one that they've been the match that they've been promoting for months now, and that is JADE CARGILL and SHAQ teaming up to take on CODY RHODES and Red Velvet. We had FTR and Tully Blanchard. Tully Blanchard again in the ring again after a long while. So it was FTR and Tully Blanchard, and they took on Jurassic Express. We had the finals of the Women's World Championship Eliminator tournament, which I haven't been following lately on YouTube. Missed the first two, tournament matches. But overall, as a whole of this tournament, I'm kind of disappointed in it. But we had Rio Mizunami end up taking on Nyla Rose. And we had a qualifying match, Face of Revolution ladder match. It was Max Caster of the Acclaimed versus 10 of the Dark Order. And in the main event, we saw Hangman Page and John Silver versus Matt Hardy and Marq Quen. So overall, Dynamite, like I said, it was a good show this week. Their go-home show for Revolution hyped us up a little bit for the pay-per-view on Sunday. But let's jump right into the review. So Dynamite kicked off on Wednesday night with the match that they were hyping us up for like a month now. And that is JADE CARGILL and SHAQ versus CODY RHODES and Red Velvet. Now, I have been saying that this match was going to be a disaster. I wasn't looking forward to this match, and this match was going to fucking suck. And that SHAQ and Cody are just going to throw like a few punches, and then that was going to be it. And then the rest of the match was just going to be JADE CARGILL and Red Velvet. But unfortunately, I was surprised. I was surprised with this match. This wasn't a disaster of a match. This was actually a very good, surprising match here. JADE CARGILL and SHAQ, I gotta give it to the both of them. They were impressive in this match, especially JADE CARGILL. JADE CARGILL, very athletic. She was very good in this match. She was the standout here, where she was just taking out Red Velvet. And you all know that this was originally supposed to be Cody and Brandy. And since Brandy, of course, announced her pregnancy, she got replaced by Red Velvet. This was originally also supposed to take place at the pay-per-view on Sunday at Revolution, but unfortunately, they couldn't get SHAQ for the pay-per-view because the NBA All-Star Game is this Sunday. So they got to have SHAQ because he does the Inside the NBA on TNT, and the All-Star Game is going to be on TNT. So unfortunately, like I said, they couldn't get SHAQ to be at the pay-per-view. So they just had the match on Dynamite. But like I said, this was a surprising good match here. So we had Cody come out first along with Arn Anderson. And then Red Velvet made her way out. And then we had Jade Cargill and SHAQ come out. SHAQ was sporting a black undershirt, and he pointed at Cody, and then he did that to Cody. So SHAQ was flexing on the stage, him and Jade Cargill. So we had the match start off where Cody Rhodes was going for a wrist lock on SHAQ, but SHAQ ended up shoving Cody away. SHAQ, of course, was flexing a whole lot more. So Cody and SHAQ were circling the ring. SHAQ ended up doing a little shuffle like he was Shane McMahon, like he did the Shane McMahon shuffle. So Cody was backed into the corner by SHAQ, and SHAQ ended up delivering a chop to Cody, which echoed through the Daily's place. So after that, he delivered a blow to Cody's back, and Cody then took a back body drop. SHAQ delivered another chop to Cody in the corner, and he ended up taking down Cody's knee. So then Jade Cargill ended up taking herself in, which brought in Red Velvet. Red Velvet ended up getting a kick to the midsection from Jade Cargill. She then got lifted up on Cargill's shoulders. Red Velvet ended up fighting her off, but then she ended up taking a knee to the face. Red Velvet came back and delivered some kicks to Jade Cargill, but Jade Cargill ended up sending Red Velvet into the corner, and then got whipped across the ring. Cargill was shown doing some push-ups in the middle of the ring as Red Velvet ended up getting back up. Jade Cargill ended up charging at Red Velvet, but Red Velvet came back and delivered a big boot to Cargill. And Red Velvet was on the top rope. She delivered a crossbody, but Jade Cargill ended up rolling through, ended up picking Red Velvet up and delivered a fallaway slam. Cargill ended up shoving Cody, like she delivered like a pie face to Cody. And we had SHAQ off of the apron. Austin Gunn, who of course is a part of the Nightmare family, was at ringside. He hit SHAQ with a chair to SHAQ's back. SHAQ ended up hitting Austin Gunn. And you had QT Marshall end up trying to get involved. So while all this was happening outside the ring, you had Jade Cargill and SHAQ out there and Cody and Arn Anderson. The camera panned back and we see Red Velvet ended up hitting a awesome moonsault off the top rope, hitting Cargill and Cody and Arn Anderson. So that was a pretty cool moonsault that she did. So then we went back to the ring and Jade Cargill ended up locking in the figure 4 on Red Velvet. Red Velvet ended up reversing the figure 4 to get out of it, but Cargill ended up putting Velvet back to the mat. So Jade Cargill then got out of the ring and she ended up setting a table up outside the ring. Red Velvet ended up getting out of the ring. She ended up tossing Cargill into the table. So Red Velvet decided to bring another table out. So she ended up putting the table out to to the table that was out there first by Jade Cargill. So we went back to the ring. Red Velvet ended up hitting a spinning kick to Cargill's face. Red Velvet ended up tagging in Cody. So SHAQ ended up coming back in. So we had SHAQ looking to go for a test of strength for Cody. But Cody ended up going for it, but SHAQ ended up backing away. So SHAQ tried to go for it again, but Cody ended up kicking SHAQ in the stomach. SHAQ then delivered a knee lift, and then he did a tribute to Brody Lee. SHAQ did a tribute to Brody Lee there, where Brody Lee ended up, goes for the powerbomb. SHAQ did that in honor. So SHAQ delivered a powerbomb to Cody, which, I was surprised. I was surprised to see SHAQ do a powerbomb onto Cody. Excuse me. But SHAQ ended up taking a shot to the face from Cody, and then Cody ended up going for a power slam. So Cody ended up going for the pin. SHAQ ended up kicking out big time, which Cody ended up flying a little bit. Cody then tagged in Red Velvet, and then Jade Cargill came in. So Cargill ended up lifting Red Velvet, and she ended up going for the cover. Cody ended up interrupting the count. So Cody ended up delivering a thumb to the eye to SHAQ, and then Cody runs the ropes and hits a running crossbody to SHAQ, which sent him and SHAQ through both of the tables that were set up on the outside. So Jade Cargill was shocked. So Red Velvet then ended up hitting the spear. She went for the cover, but Cargill kicked out. Cargill ended up blocking a punch, and she ended up lifting and slamming Red Velvet to the mat. Jade Cargill went for the cover, and there you go. Jade Cargill and SHAQ end up winning the match, which was shocking to me, because I thought Cody and Red Velvet were going to win this match. So, but quite a difference how the end to this match happened. But SHAQ and Jade Cargill end up winning. Post match, SHAQ was knocked out. Looked like he was sleeping, which you'll see by the thumbnail that I have for the review here. But SHAQ was passed out. He was knocked out, and he was being loaded into an ambulance. So this happened after Dynamite came back from commercial. Tony Schiavone was by the ambulance that SHAQ was being lifted in. So Tony Schiavone ended up opening the doors to the ambulance, and SHAQ wasn't in there. So Tony Schiavone was like, "Oh, I saw SHAQ go in there. I'm telling you, I saw him go in there." So that was basically what happened. But overall, this was a very enjoyable, good match. This wasn't the disaster match that I was hoping it was going to be. And I liked how the ending to the match was, where it was very different, where they didn't make Cody and Red Velvet win. Jade Cargill, impressive during this match. SHAQ, I got to give it to him. And, him powerbombing Cody, that was very cool to see. But you all know why this was done. This was done just to garner ratings for the NBA on TNT. The Inside the NBA, which SHAQ is a part of. It was ratings for that, to try to get people to watch that, and for AEW ratings. So, but overall, this was a very enjoyable match. Now, after this, I don't want to see SHAQ in the ring anymore. He should just stick to doing Inside the NBA on TNT and just doing Papa John's. Keep doing Papa John's commercials and those general insurance commercials. I think this was just a one-time thing for SHAQ. So, but overall, like I said, very good, enjoyable match, and it wasn't the disaster that I was hoping it was going to be. So then we had Pac and Ray Fenix of Death Triangle versus John Skyler and D3. Very quick match here. Pac and Fenix end up going to work, and they delivered a bunch of kicks on John Skyler. Fenix end up on the ropes. He end up booting D3 out to the floor. Fenix end up again John Skyler down near the corner. Pac end up going up to the top. He ended up nailing the 450 splash onto John Skyler. Fenix came in. He lifted Skyler and delivered a knee to Skyler's face. And Fenix delivered the package cutter to Skyler. Went for the cover. And there you go. Fenix and Pac end up winning the match. Like I said, very quick match. Match lasted, maybe like 5 minutes. So that was that. And then we had the MJF and Chris Jericho press conference, where MJF and Jericho head to the ring along with the rest of the Inner Circle. We had Ortiz and Santana and Wardlow out there. Jake Hager wasn't there. So this was their Revolution press conference. Dasha was moderating the press conference. So Jericho ended up saying that it's been 1 year since he lost the AEW World Championship. Of course, he's Le Champion. And he ended up saying that it's about time that he's champion again. He wanted to say that he is a 7-time tag team champion. He ended up noting The Rock and Paul White were some of his former partners when he was champion. And he ended up saying, but neither are better than MJF. So Jericho ended up saying that he looks forward to kicking the Young Bucks' asses on Sunday at Revolution. So then Conrad Thompson, he ended up asking the question to Jericho and MJF, saying, oh, are they thinking about bringing Sammy Guevara back into the Inner Circle? So MJF ended up calling Conrad turkey tits, and that he begs Jericho to answer the question. So Jericho ended up saying that he never wanted to hear Guevara's name again. So he ended up telling Conrad to get lost, to beat it. So they're asked about beating up Papa Buck, who of course is Matt and Nick's father. So MJF ended up saying that it was an act of self-defense. MJF ended up saying what they did to Papa Buck will be nothing compared to what they do at Revolution on Sunday. So Santana then took the mic and he ended up saying that Matt and Nick should have done better and not have brought their dad around here. So then, surprise, we had Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff ended up showing up. It was awesome to see Eric Bischoff again. So Eric Bischoff ended up giving his question. And his question was, does Jericho and MJF know the condition of Papa Buck? And so Bischoff ended up saying, among stupid ideas, where does motivating the Young Bucks for revenge rank on his list? So Jericho didn't like the question to what Eric Bischoff was saying, and he ended up telling Eric Bischoff to shut up. So the Bucks ended up coming out, and Nick Jackson got on the mic and ended up saying that they understood they could get hurt. Maybe their friends too, but not their father. So Matt ended up saying that their dad is the best father in the world, and that he taught them everything, from faith, family, all that stuff. And their father taught them everything that they needed. And they said everything Jericho and MJF's father failed to do. So Matt and Nick, they got in the ring and they said, when our dad couldn't afford to put us through college, he built us a wrestling ring with his bare hands. So then Matt ended up saying that attitude, that do-it-yourself attitude, is something that built AEW. He ended up saying that if there was no AEW, where would MJF and Jericho be? So the Bucks end up taking shots at MJF and Jericho. They end up saying that MJF might be in his parents' home, waiting for another call from Rosie O'Donnell. And you all know that there is a video circulating here on YouTube and on the web where MJF, as a youngster, he was on the Rosie O'Donnell show. Look it up. It's on there. So as many times as MJF said, "Oh, that wasn't me," where he completely denies it, but it is actually MJF in that clip on the Rosie O'Donnell show. So then Matt ended up taking a shot at Jericho, saying that if there was no AEW, Chris Jericho will likely be jerking the curtain at the Performance Center. So they ended up taking a shot at WWE there, where it's the Performance Center, where it's now called the Capitol Wrestling Center. So I thought that was pretty funny. So the Bucks end up doing a double super kick to Jericho and MJF, and then we had a brawl breakout with them all. So the referees end up coming out to calm things down between the guys in the ring. And then the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, they end up coming out with a table. They set the table up on the stage. So Nick Jackson was shown climbing above the entrance. And he crashes down on Ortiz on the table. And Matt Jackson ended up jumping off the stage. And Matt Jackson ended up going through the table on Santana. So the Bucks end up delivering double moves on the tables to Ortiz and Santana. Like I said, you had Nick end up going through the table on Ortiz when Nick was above the entrance. Matt then leapt off the stage and crashed Santana down through the table. So, and that was basically that. So, but this was an enjoyable press conference with MJF and Jericho here, hyping up their match on Sunday against the Young Bucks for the titles, which I gotta say, I think the Bucks are gonna retain. I wouldn't mind seeing Jericho and MJF as the tag team champions. So, but if that happens, I don't mind it. So, because I like Jericho and I like MJF. But overall, like I said, it was an enjoyable press conference. It was awesome seeing Eric Bischoff again. So then we saw a recap shown of the feud between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. Of course, they're having the exploding barbed wire death match at Revolution, which I hope it's as good as the match that they had at Full Gear in 2019, which that was one of the best matches on that pay-per-view. So we had in the video show this guy Atsushi Onita, I think that's how you pronounce his name, where he knows a thing or two about death matches, where he ended up facing Terry Funk in one of those matches, and he ended up talking about what the match does to wrestlers. It was, of course, subtitled. And of course, you have, what exploding barbed wire death match, looks like, where instead of ring ropes, it's all barbed wire. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome to see Omega and Jon Moxley there. Hopefully, probably that's the main event, which I hope. But hopefully that's as good, like I said, as their match at Full Gear in 2019. And then we had FTR and Tully Blanchard. Tully Blanchard making his return in the ring after quite some time. So they came out along with JJ Dillon. So FTR and Tully Blanchard ended up taking on the Jurassic Express. But this was a very good match here. We had Tully Blanchard start off the match with Marko Stunt. Tully ended up shoving Marko Stunt into the corner, started throwing some knees. Dax Harwood ended up coming in, as does Jungle Boy. They went back and forth. Jungle Boy ended up getting the snare trap on Dax Harwood. Cash Wheeler ended up pulling Jungle Boy out to the floor, which Jungle Boy ended up locking the snare trap on Wheeler. So the referee was trying to get them to stop. So J.J. Dillon was shown giving his shoe to Dax Harwood. So he takes the shoe, he smacks Jungle Boy with the shoe, went for the cover. Jungle Boy then kicked out at 2. Tully Blanchard ended up coming back in, delivered chops to Jungle Boy's chest. Tully was looking to go for a suicide dive, so he ended up stopping. He started strutting around a little bit. Harwood ended up launching Jungle Boy into the barricade. So then Luchasaurus then finally got into the match. He ended up taking out Wheeler and Harwood. Tully Blanchard was looking to get involved, but Luchasaurus ended up throwing Marko Stunt down on Tully Blanchard. So Wheeler and Harwood knocked Marko Stunt out to the floor. And then they focused on Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus delivered a German suplex to both Harwood and Wheeler, which was awesome, which was cool. Luchasaurus then ended up charging into the corner, which we had Harwood and Wheeler move out of the way. Harwood went up to the second rope. Jungle Boy delivered a Hurricanrana into Luchasaurus, who then power slammed Dax Harwood. So Luchasaurus went for the cover, and Harwood ended up kicking out. So then, at the end of the match, you had FTR and Tully Blanchard win the match, where we had FTR delivered a pile driver, and then Tully went for the cover. And there you go. FTR and Tully Blanchard end up winning the match. So, post-match, you had a masked man. A masked man got involved in this match. So then the masked man was revealed to be Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears has been gone for a little while. So he came back. He had blonde hair now. So he starts hugging Tully Blanchard and FTR. So Arn Anderson was looking off from the entrance, and ended up flashing the 4 Horsemen sign, which that was cool to see, which that was awesome. So, but that was that. But overall, it was a very enjoyable match here. Tully Blanchard being in the ring, again, in a long while. So then Tony Schiavone was on the stage. He appeared on the stage after FTR and Tully Blanchard versus the Jurassic Express. and he was on the stage to promote the new AEW show, AEW Dark Elevation, which is going to premiere on March 15th. That's a Monday at 7 o'clock. It's going to premiere on their YouTube channel, AEW's YouTube channel here on YouTube. So he ended up introducing his broadcast partner. And his partner, of course, is Paul White, a.k.a. The Big Show. But of course, he's using his Paul White name here because, of course, The Big Show name is trademarked by WWE, of course. So Paul White came out. He was sporting a No More BS shirt, which is his new shirt. Got a No More BS chant from the crowd when he came out. He looked happy to be there. So Paul White ended up saying, "Who saw this turn coming?" I'm sure a lot of us didn't see this turn coming because we all thought that he was still with WWE. So he jumped ship from WWE to AEW. Even me and everybody did not see this coming because we all thought that he was still signed with WWE. And then when the news broke out that Paul White and WWE couldn't agree to a new contract, Paul White said that he was unhappy backstage after Legends Night with what happened on Monday Night Raw, that Legends Night where Randy Orton was just shitting on him and he wasn't being used right. So he just left and signed with AEW. But like I said, he looked happy. He looked really happy to be there. So Paul White ended up saying that he's very happy to be with the company. So he ended up plugging the upcoming AEW Dark Elevation show. And Paul White ended up saying that it's a passion of his to get back to commentating. And I'm really looking forward to what he's going to bring to commentary. So then he ended up saying that he has a scoop. So Paul White then announced that Sunday at Revolution, a huge Hall of Fame worthy talent has been signed. And it's not who you think. So that was that. That was the announcement that Paul White ended up saying. But, everybody's been speculating about this huge Hall of Fame worthy talent that has been signed to the company. People are saying, oh, it could be Brock Lesnar. Oh, it could be CM Punk. Of course, you got to have the people who want CM Punk back in wrestling be like, oh, yeah, it's CM Punk, it's CM Punk. If it's CM Punk, I'm so excited. No, it's not going to be CM Punk. Punk already went out and said, oh, no, it's not me. So calm down, fans. Calm down for the fans who want to see CM Punk back in wrestling. So it's not Punk. It's not CM Punk. There are people who are saying, oh, it could be Christian. It could be Lita. Any of these stars could be this huge Hall of Fame worthy talent that has been signed with AEW. But a lot of people are speculating, though. But who knows? Who knows who it's going to be? But it was good to see Paul White there. Like I said, looked really happy. And, we don't have to see no more of that 1,000 turn, face turn, or heel turn that WWE always used to do with him. So I'm pretty sure he doesn't have to deal with that anymore. So then we had the Eliminator Tournament Finals in the Women's World Championship Eliminator Tournament, where it was Nyla Rose versus Ryo Mizunami. I think that's how you pronounce her name. But Nyla Rose, of course, she came out along with Vicky Guerrero. This was actually a solid matchup here. And the winner of the match will get to face Hikaru Shida for the Women's World Championship at Revolution. So the match started off back and forth between Nyla Rose and Ryo Mizunami. Mizunami ended up getting control of the match on Nyla Rose. She was throwing a bunch of chops to Rose in the corner, taunting Rose a bit. Ryo Mizunami ended up delivering one more chop to Nyla Rose. She then went and hit a clothesline to Nyla Rose, which she went for the cover. Rose ended up kicking out at 1. So Vicky Guerrero got involved here, and she distracted the referee. She distracted Aubrey Edwards for a few moments there, which Nyla Rose took control and delivered a slam on Ryo Mizunami. She went for the cover. Mizunami ended up kicking out at 2. So Nyla Rose ended up continuing to work on Mizunami in and out of the ring. And Hikaru Shida was out there. She was watching the match from the stage. Nyla Rose ended up hopping to the top rope. She was looking to go for a senton, but Mizunami ended up moving out of the way. Mizunami ended up getting Nyla Rose to the apron, delivered a shoulder tackle, which shoved Nyla Rose out to the floor. So Mizunami ended up delivering a guillotine leg drop to Nyla Rose on the apron. So we had Mizunami end up hitting another leg drop on Nyla Rose in the ring. Rose and Mizunami end up throwing back and forth shots at each other. Mizunami then end up blocking the clothesline. She ended up landing a few. And at the end of the match, Ryo Mizunami ended up winning the match. Mizunami ended up nailing a suplex and then the spear to Nyla Rose. So there you go. Ryo Mizunami ended up winning the match. She gets to face Hikaru Shida this Sunday at Revolution for the Women's World Championship. So that's going to be pretty interesting. So post-match, Hikaru Shida ended up handing Ryo Mizunami the trophy. So she ended up offering her hand to Mizunami. And then Ryo Mizunami ends up hitting Hikaru Shida with the forearm. So they end up going back and forth, and Hikaru Shida ended up smiling. She ended up holding up the Women's World Championship, and that was that. So there you go. It's going to be Ryo Mizunami versus Hikaru Shida Sunday at Revolution for the Women's World Championship. That's going to be an entertaining match there. So overall, it was a solid match. So then we had Tony Schiavone in the ring. He ended up bringing out Sting. So Sting ended up heading out to the ring. So Tony Schiavone ended up saying that he knows Sting is prepared for the street fight this Sunday at Revolution, which of course is going to be Sting teaming up with Darby Allin to take on Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. So Sting ended up saying that he thought he was ready until 2 weeks ago when he realized he wasn't, when Brian Cage ended up powerbombing him. So Sting ended up saying that he's shaking off the ring rust and that he is ready for Sunday. So Ricky Starks ended up walking out, and he ended up saying that Sting needs to pump his brakes. Starks went on to say that we recently saw some fire from Sting, something that we have seen in a while, that we haven't seen in a while. So Starks ended up believing Sting still has it. But he ended up telling that to Sting that he is no icon, that Sting is no icon. So Starks then slapped Sting. So Sting ended up landing a clothesline on Ricky Starks and then nailed the Stinger Splash in the corner. Sting then, of course, applied the Scorpion Deathlock onto Ricky Starks. But then we had Will Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Hook. They end up getting into the ring, and Sting ended up fighting off hook. Brian Cage ended up coming in from behind, and he starts swinging away on Sting. Cage ended up going to deliver another powerbomb to Sting, but out came Darby Allin. Darby Allin came running out. Brian Cage did not even know that Darby Allin was going to come out. I guess he didn't hear Darby Allin's music, so he was prepared. So Darby Allin ran out. He ended up blocking in a choke on Cage. So Brian Cage ended up trying to fight Darby Allin off into the corner, but he ended up taking a Stinger Splash. Brian Cage ended up taking a Stinger Splash to the back because Brian Cage's back was turned, and so that's when Sting delivered the Stinger Splash. So then Darby Allin ended up delivering a shotgun drop kick off the top rope to Brian Cage, and that was that. So, well, overall, this was a pretty decent segment here. You know, Sting is ready to go, and him and Darby Allin are going to be one hell of a tag team there to take on Ricky Starks and Brian Cage this Sunday. So then we had 10 of the Dark Order versus Max Caster of the Acclaimed. This was a qualifying match for, in the face of the Revolution Ladder match, which is going to be taking place this Sunday at the pay-per-view. So 10 made his way out, of course, along with members of Dark Order, even -1, Brody Lee Jr. So then Max Caster came out, started doing his rapping, started taking shots at 10 and also -1, which when he was rapping at -1, he was ready to go at it at Max Caster. So 10 had to pull him back. But Scorpio Sky was on commentary here, and he was just putting himself over on commentary. So this was a pretty decent match here, where Caster and 10 start off the match. They were going back and forth. 10 delivered a running crossbody to Max Caster, went for the cover. Caster ended up kicking out at 2. Both of these guys ended up on the floor. 10 ended up getting sent into the ring post by Max Caster. So Caster ended up working on 10, tossed him back into the ring. 10 delivered a spine buster onto Max Caster. So later on, Caster ended up locking in a submission. 10 ended up getting his foot under the bottom rope. Caster then ended up landing the brain buster, and he headed to the top rope to try to deliver the elbow drop. 10 moved out of the way, so Caster ended up didn't get him. So Max Caster then went up to the top again, and he then got powerbombed by 10. So Jack Evans was shown rolling out from under the ring, and he ended up smacking 10 with Max Caster's boombox. So because of that, Caster ended up getting the pin. And there you go, Max Caster ended up winning the match. He ended up going into the Face of the Revolution ladder match on Sunday. A post-match, Matt Hardy then came out. Matt Hardy then paid Jack Evans $4,200 for smacking 10 with Caster's boombox. And of course, Matt Hardy is trying to look to take down every member of the Dark Order, and it showed right here. So, overall, it was a decent match between 10 and Max Caster. So now we had a little clip that was filmed that day where Miro ended up saying, because Chucky T didn't return, he's going to have to give people what they want. And that is destruction. Game over. And of course, Miro and Kip Sabian are going to be taking on Chucky T and Orange Cassidy this Sunday at the pay-per-view. Main event: Hangman Page and John Silver versus Matt Hardy and Marq Quen. This was a pretty decent match here. And we had these teams trading some offense in the match as it got started. Hangman and Page got into the match. Matt Hardy ended up throwing John Silver into Page because Matt Hardy didn't want anything to do with Hangman and Page here. Matt Hardy then ended up taking in Marq Quen. Silver came in, and Silver got sent to the apron from Marq Quen. So we had Matt Hardy end up coming back in. He ended up trying to go for a cover on John Silver, and Silver ended up kicking out at 2. Marq Quen then got back to the match. He was delivering some kicks and punches to John Silver. Silver was trying to get to Page, but Matt Hardy ended up keeping him away. Of course, Matt Hardy doesn't want to face Hangman and Page, but he has to at the pay-per-view on Sunday at Revolution. So John Silver ended up tagging in Hangman and Page. Marq Quen ended up jumping in. He ended up taking shots at Page. Page ended up delivering a spine buster, a pop-up spine buster to Marq Quen. And he was looking to go for a boot to Matt Hardy, but Matt Hardy ended up jumping down to the floor. So Matt Hardy then got a hold of Page, and Marq Quen was trying to go for a pump kick, but he ended up kicking Matt Hardy by accident. So Page then ended up hitting the fallaway slam to Marq Quen, and he ended up hitting a splash down on Matt Hardy. At the end of the match, Hangman and Page and John Silver end up getting the win. John Silver ended up delivering a release German suplex to Marq Quen. Page ended up hitting the buckshot lariat. So Page ended up looking right at Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy ended up dropping down to the floor. So Page ended up pinning Marq Quen. So there you go. Hangman and Page and John Silver ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had John Silver hugging Hangman and Page. Matt Hardy then ended up smacking John Silver and Hangman and Page with the microphone. Matt Hardy ended up yelling at Page, and he ended up telling Page that he's not going to make it to the big match on Sunday. So Matt Hardy then ended up going for John Silver, but the Dark Order ended up running out, and they ended up stomping out Matt Hardy. So we had the participants from the tag team Casino Royale, which we're going to be seeing this Sunday. They all ran out, and we had a huge brawl ensue, and that was how Dynamite went off the air. But overall, it was a decent match between Hangman and Page, John Silver versus Matt Hardy and Marq Quen. The brawl at the end got us all hyped for the pay-per-view this Sunday. But you know AEW, they do an awesome job with their go-home shows, unlike WWE. AEW actually gets you hyped to tune in to check out the pay-per-view. But overall, it was a very good Dynamite show this week. It was a good go-home show. So anyways, that's it for my review of Dynamite, of AEW Dynamite for this week. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all later tonight for the SmackDown review. So see you all later tonight.